Welcome back to Draft Chat. We're here at episode 4 to talk with resident Thunder fan and friend of the show, Grayson Hill. But first of all, before we bring him on, we're talking here live right before the lottery. So Josh, how are you doing, first of all?
I'm doing pretty good. I don't have a lot in this. I've got a 1% chance that something happens. So, but I'm in my LaMelo jersey. Remind me that things are great regardless of how things go. I'm excited. I always love the draft lottery because of the potential chaos.
I'll tell you what's fun before we bring on Grayson really quick is you have, and I'm finally glad we're to this moment because you've been telling every guest on Draft Chat, you're like, I don't like doing these stupid mocks before, the lottery comes out because it's hard to predict. And,
Yeah.
I'm glad it's over with. I'm glad we're here. With that being said, we'll go ahead and bring in guest number 4, Grayson Hill, Thunder fan, friend of the show. Grayson, how are you?
It's the best day in May. Nothing else going on in the NBA. Just going to figure out what 2 top 4 picks the Thunder get tonight.
Yeah, definitely nothing else going on.
No.
Yeah.
I love the aspirations of the both of them ending up in the top 4. Really, the whole point.
1 and 2, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, of course.
Yeah.
Going to get Chet and Jabari.
Yeah.
Really what we wanted to attack here right before, for those that are listening on Saturday, a couple days after. These are obviously technically our live reactions. We're recording this about 12 minutes before the first part of the draft lottery begins. So we're going to talk a couple things just for those that may not understand the draft lottery in full. For what it's worth, Josh is doing that entire thing because I'm one of those people. And we'll go over a couple scenarios, things that we think may happen, bias aside as best we can, maybe not. And we'll just talk a couple things, and then afterwards you'll hear a cut to us talking after the fact, going over what actually happened, the actual Thunder portion of the show, as well as we'll get Grayson's Eastern and Western Conference Finals predictions at the end. So, with that being said, Josh, please let me and everyone else know what the heck might happen here in the next 12 minutes.
Yeah, so a recap for listeners that may not understand. So the NBA does things a bit differently than the NFL and the MLB draft. The NHL actually employs a similar system to this, where they have a draft lottery to disincentivize tanking teams. Has that helped? No, not necessarily. But it's used to disincentivize teams from tanking and to get them to keep competing. So the way things are shaken out, the bottom 3 teams in this year's NBA season, which were Houston, Orlando, and Detroit, have equal odds going into the lottery to have the number 1 pick, followed by Oklahoma City, who's next at 4, and then on down through the rest of the 14. So the way the lottery will work, at this point when we're recording, the picks have already been made. They are back in a secure room. Each team sends a representative, along with NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, and lottery balls are drawn out in combinations based on the chances teams were given to get the pick. They draw 4 times. So the top 4 picks are determined by lottery draw. Each time a team wins, they're taken out of the lottery draw and the next one is drawn. So it's only drawn 4 times. So, for example, if you have the worst record, which I think is Houston, Houston will have a pick that is 1 through 5. If Houston doesn't get picked, they'll pick 5th. Orlando, same. Worst they can do is 6. Detroit, worst they can do is 7. OKC, worst they can do is 8 and on down. So it's just those picks. So why that's significant is we're going to have our live reactions as they reveal the picks 14-1. So starting at 14, I'm going to reveal where the teams should place out if nothing changes, because our reactions are probably going to come in where the things are different. So at 14, you can look at it if you're following along and not driving, although I imagine most of you are probably driving and can't pull out your phone to look at this. You can look at what the odds were on Tankathon. But 14 should be Cleveland. Number 13 should be Charlotte. 12 is Oklahoma City, one of their 2 picks. This was the one that was traded to them from Los Angeles, the Clippers. Was that the Paul George trade?
Yep.
Way back when? Okay.
Yep.
11, New York. 10, Washington. 9, San Antonio. 8, New Orleans. This is the Lakers pick that was traded in exchange for Anthony Davis. 7, Sacramento. 6, Portland. 5, Indiana. 4, Oklahoma City. 3, Detroit. 2, Orlando, and 1, Houston. So that's where we sit for the way the lotto's going to work out. Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum will come out at around 8 minutes from now for us that are live reacting to this, and he'll reveal the picks 14 through 5, take a break, and then do 4 to 1.
Luckily for the listeners, they will not hear that break. They will hear
No.
dead silence and then cut right to the fourth pick. I'm excited to do so.
But just to explain where there will be a stop.
So
Right.
super exciting night, obviously, as people who this year we wanted to bring back or bring into our show and into our content, the draft cycle. Obviously, I think this will be a cool perspective because I think there's a lot of unique situations for every team. We're not going to be able to hit every single team in the lottery in terms of what some fans and what players and working for those teams, et cetera, might want or think. But I think this is a good scenario because I think the Thunder are kind of the poster child or token of kind of where this new draft era is when it comes to tanking. So my first question, at least because I want to be able to reflect on this in, for the listeners, what's going to be a couple of days, but for us, it's going to be a couple of minutes, is I want to know right now, before we know anything, who you want if it's in the top 4, and then who you want if it's in the top, like, let's say the one at 12 stays at 12. So let's say they stay at 4 and 12, exactly like it's supposed to. It goes completely chalk, which is very unlikely. Who do you want at 4 and who do you want at 12?
4 would almost be like one of the picks I wouldn't want just because it's so tough to pick after this. What's perceived now as the trio at the top. But I could see Jaden Ivey, Shaden Sharp, somewhere like that. It's not necessarily a need, but it's best player available. And if we go that route with the first pick, I would really want a big man at 12, Jalen Duren, potentially Mark Williams, maybe reach a bit on Tari Eason, someone like that, just to shore up that area of the roster, because I think we've got a lot of good guards, a lot of good wings, but it's mostly Isaiah Roby, Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, and for now, Derek Favors down low for us.
Josh, following up that question, who would you want if the Hornets, being they, stick at 13?
So it's not going to be what you think because I don't want Mark Williams, not because I don't like him as a player, but because I think the best option for Charlotte is to take advantage of this great big man off-season market that's out there that they seem to kind of be at the center of, whether it's talking about Rudy Gobert or talking about DeAndre Ayton or even the sleeper picks of a Jakob Poeltl, Christian Wood, Miles Turner, who all kind of seem to be on the trade block. Not picking Mark Williams since the draft comes before free agency would really signify where Charlotte's headed. So being said, who I would want, shout out to the New Zealand Breakers and Ousmane Dieng.
Wow, he's coming up high now. Okay.
As well as OK Agbaji from Kansas, just getting an incredible 3-and-D wing that's ready to go.
Yeah, I'm excited because I think ultimately this is going to kind of not solidify some big boards, but I think it's going to help and solidify either some big boards or some mocks, because I think what's going to happen, I think some teams are going to slot in and we're going to go, okay, like the Ousmane Diengs of the world, we're going to be like, yeah, he's rising, but to where, right? Or like in this case, you mentioned the Jaden Ivey thing at 4. I'm intrigued if I just want something to go south where somebody gets a pick where they might not have expected it, and we're going to get a raw live reaction. For the sake of content, I'm hoping it's the Thunder, of course.
A little bit of chaos, yeah.
Nothing.
It can be both of us.
Right, yeah, come on.
Like the top 3 can be 2 Thunder picks in the Hornets.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
If that happens, I'm retiring from podcasting. I just started it, so not that long ago. I just made everyone watch basketball again, I guess. But yeah, so ultimately what we want is best case scenario for both teams here involved. For those that might be new here, I have zero dog in this fight, so my job is going to be 2 things: captaining this ship, hopefully, and keeping it on the train on the tracks, and then maybe throwing in some things in there to get it stirred up and get it exciting and get it talked about. So
I really hope it quickly goes firmly off the rails.
Me too, actually. I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of do too.
What always gets me about the waiting on this is knowing the picks have already happened.
Yeah, that is weird.
They made these like an hour ago, and they're in the sealed envelopes.
Of all the things that leak on Twitter early these days, I'm kind of surprised that even to this day we've never had a leak with the.
They take their phones away.
Draft.
Yeah,
like when they go to make the picks, they take all of their phones away and they lock them in the room until the picks are revealed on TV.
That's crazy. They should do that with more stuff too, like the draft.
So there's like 20 people that know what the order is right now. They're all locked away in a room by the NBA, just watching this ESPN feed.
Look, more power to them. I think it's one of the best things that they do in terms of hyping it up. I'm really glad that they keep it kind of normal in a sense. Josh, was there anything else we wanted to ask Grayson before we cut to the 14th pick here soon?
Did you see Presty's comments earlier today?
I caught
He
bits and
took
pieces
media
through Twitter.
questions this morning.
Yeah, he said he wanted to go live pre-lottery just to make sure that it came across as genuine and not after the fact.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to go through the full thing, but we got some great beat reporters that were on it, and it seems like he's ready to embrace the challenge of having these 2 picks, and wherever they do fall, it's going to be pretty monumental as far as the franchise and their momentum going forward. So, I mean, given our success in the past picking in the top 5, I've got full faith in Preston and the rest of the people involved. So hopefully we get that opportunity.
Yeah, you're going to get a stud regardless, I think, of where you guys pick.
All right. It looks like we're getting started here with the draft lottery from McCormick Place in Chicago, Illinois. I totally wish that we were actually there. I just made it sound like we were. But Two Pointers Podcast, obviously, just cut it back from us talking a few minutes before the draft about things, scenarios, the Thunder a little bit. But it's live. We're watching it as you guys are going to hear this. And we're going to try to trim it down as best you can with, obviously, there may be some stops here and there. But
why is Walker Kessler at the draft lottery? He's not going to the lottery.
Next to Rip Hamilton, that's interesting.
Maybe it's in the same place they do the combine. That's
okay.
Yeah, he's at the combine.
He definitely should be.
But this has no impact on him.
Yeah, whatever. You never know. Maybe 2 months ago. But yeah, so they're showing right now all the stuff for those that might be listening to this on Saturday when it comes out at midnight, or Friday night, midnight, Saturday morning. Obviously, we're in this point now where they're just showing the top 3 and what's the debate, yada, yada, yada. But what we're here for is obviously what they're showing now is the 4 teams that have the best chance at number 1, all tied at 14%. The Rockets, the Magic, the Pistons, and the Thunder. Things are about to change very, very quickly for one of these franchises, if not all 4 of them. Obviously, because I don't think any pick is really any bad pick here. They're showing some relaying of some of the Lakers picks to how it goes to the Pelicans and the Grizzlies. We're going to skip right over that. I'm just kidding. No, but we're here. We're excited to talk about the draft lottery as we react to it.
It's hilarious that we were talking about Detroit and Houston going 1-2 last year, and they're right there at equal odds to take.
I think it's the same top 3 at that 14% benchmark.
Is it Orlando again? Did they really lose to drop to?
They did.
They did.
Yep.
Yeah.
4. Okay.
So my favorite thing about this
was OKC 5 or 6 last year.
4.
No, what did they actually end up picking?
Oh, 6, my bad.
6.
Yeah, 6.
That was how they got the Giddey pick.
That's definitely why you're worried now, because you're just afraid to see the same propaganda.
Yeah, I don't think that good fortune is going to happen twice before it's 6.
So they just showed the Thunder, and they just showed a bunch of 8 balls. So I'm gonna look away for a second so we can not worry about that for a moment, because they're doing the thing that they normally. I thought Mark Tatum would be ready right at 8. But I just want to say really quick that I'm kind of happy that we're all watching this on mute for those that are listening to this on the podcast later. We're all watching this on mute because obviously we're not exactly lined up. But I'll tell you what I'm most excited about for the mute part of it is we don't have to hear Kendrick Perkins talk a single moment, which is really great. 30 minutes of Kendrick Perkins. I'm like
Thunder
super
legend.
excited. Oh, regardless of whether he's a legend or not, he's not a legend on television. So
how is he still an NBA analyst?
How was he ever an NBA analyst? I'm just kidding. This isn't a Kendrick Perkins slander segment, though, because they've got a great cast up there of Jay Billis and Malik Andrews and Adrian Wojnarowski. So very, very weird.
Jay Billis going to give us some cutting-edge analysis about who has the best hair in this lottery.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Coming from the bald guy.
Talk about how much he loves Paolo Banchero.
They're still doing the part about the Rockets now, so obviously we're just here waiting, but... anything that you both, obviously things are going to go south here quickly, but anything you both want to say now before it happens?
Are you guys watching these Westbrook Harden graphics just walking away?
They're completely terrible. Completely terrible.
Where's the John Wall one? I know he hasn't played in 3 years, but, come on.
He's still on the team, I think.
I know. I forget that.
To remind people, Josh went over at the beginning, the Cavaliers have a 0.5% chance of winning this lottery.
They've won the lottery more than any other team in the existence of the lottery.
Ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Shout out to Anthony Bennett if you're listening.
They've hit a lot, though. None of those players, the only player that still plays for them is Garland. That actually was one of the picks they won. No, Garland was the 5th pick, so they didn't win that time.
He was, I think Wiggins and Bennett were the 2 most recent.
Kyrie.
Kyrie.
Before that.
I have a hypothetical I want to throw at you too, Josh. This is less for you because you need a literal miracle. But I start with Grayson on this. If the Thunder can't win the number one overall pick, for the NBA fan in you, whether it's biased against somebody or whether just excitement of where, let's just assume Chet goes one, who would you want to win the lottery if the Thunder can't win it for
Ooh,
excitement's sake?
I would almost say Detroit. I feel like that's one of those franchises that's when they're good, the NBA as a whole benefits from it. And
That's
I
what
think
I was
obviously
thinking
getting
too.
Cade number one last year, they got pieces like Jeremy Grant, you added talent, any of the top three, honestly, to that roster. And that's going to be a very interesting team on that play-in bubble, I think, sooner rather than later.
Josh, that was my answer, so I'm going to ask you: who would you want as an NBA fan to get the number one pick if it wasn't the OKC
Yeah.
or it wasn't the
So
Charlotte
if
Hornets?
the Hornets can't get the miracle, I've kind of gone with the two teams that I would like to see Chet play for that I think would be good for his development. I think he's the best player, but I think it very much depends on his development. I think that's either OKC or Orlando. I think are the
Okay.
two best landing spots for Chet Holmgren.
I don't know if you're doing that on purpose because of
No, I've
Yes.
thought OKC is a great spot for Chet for months. It's not just for Grayson.
You get
Wow.
plenty of minutes, I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
Re-
I mean,
reacting
he only played the first half of the season before they shut him down, but
Well, it depends how we're playing, but yeah.
reacting accordingly
playing
here.
too good. Let's knock it down. Let's shut it down.
Reacting accordingly to what we're watching, I am shocked Mike Schmidt still has Keegan Murray at 4. I didn't know that. I don't read Mike
That's
Schmidt's a
interesting.
ton until closer to because he gets good info in the last 30 days of the draft cycle. He's really good about really getting scouts and GM pieces right there within about 30 days or less. And I'm just shocked he has him at 4. Ivy's at 5 there. Like I'm actually kind of maybe I'm overreacting, but I, Keegan Murray at 4. I feel like that hasn't happened in months for
And
most
his
people.
biggest, not as a knock, but he's one of the older prospects, I think 22, 23 years old.
I know some people hate that.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. I think Ochai Agbaji is the only guy I'm willing to take that old age wise or experience wise that I think is worth taking high-ish in the lottery because of the experience and being he's going to walk right onto somebody's team in a couple of months and be ready to contend for a playoff spot. So that's kind of my exception to the rule. I'm the same guy that didn't like Chris Duarte. I was wrong about that. Maybe I'm not because he had a great start to the season, but I'm just excited. I love these guys to death, the top three. I'm glad that they're really stirring up the controversy with the three of them having them together in every single thing that they possibly do. And I just wish they would get it over with.
You guys hear so I've been switching back and forth to listen to what some of the commentary is. They asked Paolo to tell NBA fans what they'd be getting if they get him, and his first thing he said is a star. Getting a star.
As he should say that.
Okay.
As they should
All right.
say that. He's going to be unbelievable, man. I've come around. You know how I felt about him 8 months ago. I mean, I'm completely coming around on him. I can't wait to get our big boards updated because as soon as I'm done editing this show and our normal show that comes out tonight, I am going like hard and fixing up my big board with about a month left, basically, because I need to flip it around. Spoiler, Paolo's not 3 anymore. Super excited. It looks like there's some people
Reps are
walking
taking
on
the stage. Back from commercial break. They should be about to reveal the lottery.
Celtics warm-up shots again.
Yeah, tonight's all about Tatum.
Yeah.
Mark Tatum, that is. Deputy Commissioner of the NBA, that'll be revealing.
My most or least favorite NBA personnel person.
That was smooth, Josh.
I love
really
Mark
appreciated
Tatum.
that. I do too. He's
TBD
never
for
not.
I thought of the Tatum thing hours ago. Okay, here we go.
All
There
right.
we go. There's a podium.
The drawing room. I love that they don't leave the room either. I love that they stay in the room.
Make a live cam from the room.
Yeah, I
See who
love
can,
it. And it's just a bunch of GMs and stuff talking. It's great. You just
who
have
can
no idea.
blink out in Morse code who won the lottery first. And they
Said
go
they're just a
to
couple of
Damian
minutes away
Lillard.
from revealing the results of the lottery.
I know there's a game tonight, right?
Oh, they're gonna finish up and then go straight to tip off.
I love this for the fans because I'm gonna do my best to cut it down as quick as I can.
Oh, they're
where you won't
announcing who the
hear.
reps are.
All right,
There we go.
Nick Collison.
Nick Collison.
Shout out to Nick Collison. He was one of the funniest answers ever on trivia for us.
So I got it immediately.
Are you being
Yeah.
sarcastic? You did get
No,
Nick
it was
He's
Collison.
the
pretty
one I
close.
got. I didn't get
Yeah.
Paul Pierce, but I got Nick Collison.
That's great. That's great.
For anyone
Like-
listening, the question was Roy Williams, National Player of the Years. Cards are being delivered to the podium.
I love it.
Flip it upside down really quick.
Yeah, he accidentally goes like this.
Yeah, he drops them.
Oh wow, why is this one bent on the corner?
Can you
again?
imagine?
That's the new draft order.
Yeah.
They just throw
They
a bunch
don't
of
do
cards in
that.
there and pick them.
They had to get rid of the pulling the cards out because of this advice. Oh, here comes Mark Tatum. Oh
No.
boy,
Here we go.
we're going.
love how-
We're going. We're straight going right now.
Yep.
This is literally what's happening. I love how we can't hear anything. We're just
Cleveland.
watching. Cleveland at 14. All right.
Not Charlotte.
All
Come
right,
on.
here we go,
Please don't be
Josh.
Charlotte.
Here we go, Josh.
Oh,
Well,
All right,
it's
Josh,
fun while it lasts.
see you in 6 minutes.
congrats to Mark Williams.
All right, Josh. See you in 6 minutes.
Dang.
Okay,
it.
so all right.
Corner.
So we've
Wow.
gone in order: Cleveland, Charlotte, OKC.
Anticlimactic. Why are we even doing the show anymore? All right, this has been the Two Pointers podcast.
I guess I'll take 1 and 12. But
Yeah, you're right.
11 is the Knicks.
the Knicks.
All right.
So
still
nothing has
has,
changed yet.
Yeah, I'm
No.
pulling it back up so I can make sure I'm looking at it. Yeah, nothing's
I've got it
changed.
pulled up as well.
Washington, I believe, should be
Yep.
here. Yep.
Washington,
He's dropping
yeah.
the envelopes. Is something going on here?
I think there's a
Something's
cover in
happening.
front of it.
Oh, he's dropping it.
I
Washington
believe.
looks mad that they got 10. They look pissed. All right, San Antonio.
San
Wow, is this going to be a
Antonio.
chalk? Is this going to be chalk? I'm so angry. I
No.
wanted San Antonio to jump up. That would have been really
The
cool.
Pelicans will be the ones to watch.
Yeah, yeah, right. After the Lakers pick, I think I'm going to cry if that happens.
Oh,
Okay,
no,
we're good.
Pels.
It's good.
All
We're
right.
good.
Hasn't been a jump yet.
Sacramento?
That just means the top
Please.
4 is going to get weird. Nope,
Grayson's
Sacramento's
nervous
good.
now.
I don't like that. This is the scary part.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Sacramento.
Portland dropped.
Portland dropped 1.
Oh,
Damon's-
no.
Dame- so
Sacramento's
mad.
in the top 4. It's a bonus.
He's smiling. He's like, I get a better teammate than Davion Mitchell.
Please not back-to-back years. Let's go.
Oh,
Indiana.
Please
Wow.
don't be next.
if they're not 5, this is going to be the greatest
Who
segment
dropped?
we've ever
Please
done.
don't be next. Let's
Oh,
go.
All right. All right.
Let's
Wow.
Before things get out of hand, I'm going to go ahead and captain this for a second. The only major change is that Sacramento is in the top 4, and Oklahoma City is guaranteed a top 4 pick.
Yeah. And
Orlando is
Detroit
guaranteed
fell from 2 to 5.
5. So it's the Houston Rockets, the Orlando Magic, the Thunder, and the Sacramento Kings. Who would have
Good
thought
for
the last time-
Sacramento.
No, not good Sacramento.
Yeah.
bad for whatever poor soul will be there with Sabonis looking for
So-
ways to escape.
All jokes aside, on the bright side, before we go to a cut here, before we come back to the 4th pick, is Sacramento last time that this happened for them is they got Marvin
2 years
Bagley
ago.
at 2 instead of Luka Doncic, which, that would be fun. I'm just kidding. So who do they make that same mistake with, say, like an Ivy at 2? We'll see.
They will pick Shaden Sharp number 1 overall.
They can't pick another guard, right?
Oh, no, they will. They will. It's Jaden. Can you imagine De'Aaron Fox and Jaden Ivey? No, that's how we're going to go to commercial.
And
we'll be
Davion
back.
Mitchell.
All right, we'll be back with the 4th pick through the 1st pick here in just a moment.
We're back.
Did
For
we all
more-
just say that at the same time? I think we
More
just did.
Celtics warm-up shots. That's why we're here.
Yep.
I think we all just said we're back at the same time. This is great.
We're back. It's time for 4 to 1, and here we go. All right.
Come on, Nick. Come on, Nick.
So logic would dictate this would be Sacramento, but honestly, logic is out the window at this point.
I might throw something out a window if it's Oklahoma City at 4.
To
Here we are.
of
Please do
Sacramento
that
or
terrible
Oklahoma to
Kings
win.
logo.
No, I think it'd be
Yes.
fun, even better if it was. Oh, it
Kings.
is. Okay, Grace. All right, for those that are
Come
listening
on.
later, Grayson is about 8 seconds ahead of us, so he's going to react before Josh and I will.
Oh
Here we
my
go, number
God.
3.
Oh,
no,
my
Rockets
God.
at 3.
Oh,
Houston Rockets have the 3rd pick. All
you're
right,
in a
Nick
great spot
Collison.
regardless of what happens next.
Nick,
It's between
Oh,
Orlando.
all right.
It's, yeah, 2.
The
Number 2
Orlando
overall.
Magic for the fourth
Man,
time? Fourth
Wow.
or 5th time in NBA history.
did the 2 landing spots for Chet, I just say were the best, go 1-2?
Yes.
Number 1 overall pick. Wow. The 4th or 5th time in NBA history.
They jumped from 2 to 1.
That is
Last
crazy.
time they picked number 1, was it Dwight Howard?
I believe it
I
was.
believe so.
Yeah, I think they've had 4 number 1 picks. I think they've had Chris Webber, or that conglomerate of a trade, or they got it and then won the lottery, traded it, whatever. They had Shaq. They had this one. Am I forgetting anybody? I'm definitely forgetting
Dwight
somebody.
Howard.
Yeah.
Dwight Howard. Is that 4? That's got to be 4.
Yeah.
All right. As they're talking about it, we're going to ignore the screen now because it really doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and react accordingly because obviously we're going to talk about the Thunder here in just a second. We'll cut and then we'll go right to a full-blown Thunder part of the show. But Reactions with
Wow.
Orlando. Obviously, I was talking earlier before we recorded, and people won't know this, but like I think Chet's a really cool, fun fit in Orlando. I think it'd actually be kind of crazy. But
Or
do they potentially take Banchero number one because of just the style of play and the fit, maybe with a bunch of guards?
No.
Do they potentially
I
take
think
Banchero?
that's a fantastic idea. I think
Yeah, we're setting
I
that
think
aside for a second, putting that on the back burner. We're going to talk
Grayson
about
loves
other
the idea that
scenarios.
Orlando
yeah.
should take Paolo at number one.
On behalf of Jay Billis, I think you should absolutely take Paolo Banchero number one.
Yeah, this order just went off the rail fast. With Sacramento at 4, one, I guess, are we surprised? And then two, with 4, like, is this like a trade out possibility, or are they taking best player available no matter what happens? Because something's probably going to happen in the top 3. Is that where we think's happening?
Sacramento needs to take the pick. They are not in a trade out kind of like.
I mean, you
If
could
they
get
know
2
what
of
they're doing, which they probably don't,
them.
need
That is
to
fair.
pick it for. This feels like very much Sacramento comes in at 4. Chet, Jabari, and Paolo are already gone, and they're like, we don't need another guard, so we're not going to do Ivy. They make that a good decision, and then they go Keegan Murray, and he disappears, and we never hear from him again.
Yeah, sorry, Keegan. We appreciate your time in the NBA, but your funeral officially begins the moment you get drafted by Sacramento.
Go into the vortex that is the Sacramento Kings.
All right, they're going to continue to show the top 3 prospects again over and over again for the next couple of minutes. So we're going to go ahead and just start talking about the Thunder now that we have some scenarios and some things that we can actually talk about. The lottery reaction has happened. Let's talk about, obviously, now that the Thunder here are at 2 and at, am I already forgetting what happened?
12.
And 12. So,
Yep.
with that being said, now that you know, the same question I asked you earlier, who do you want, and what do you think actually happens at both picks?
I want Chet Holmgren. I think he goes 1, and we pick Jabari Smith.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
I mean, there's no hard-hitting analysis per se, but I do think that just some things with Banchero, and I mean, it was Duke as a whole, there was just kind of lapses where they would kind of, sleepwalk through games, especially in a weaker ACC. And I don't know if Presti's going to love that on tape. Obviously, they've got workouts, combines, interviews, things like that to really sell themselves beyond the tape. But honestly, if Chet goes 1 or if Paolo goes 1, Jabari goes 1, having the pick of the other 2 perceived trio at the top, I don't think it's a scenario you go wrong, especially with a guy like Sam Presti making the call. So that's a win, honestly. Anything in the top 3 was a massive win tonight. And you got the added bonus of the Clippers pick down at 12.
Before we get to the 12th pick, because you answered how you think it might go and who you want, according to Jonathan Giovanni, whether you like his track record or not, he believes that Jabari Smith will be going number 1 overall to the Orlando Magic.
I love that too. I wish they would.
I have seen that mocked for a while. Now that we know it's official,
and Keegan at 5, it's interesting. I'm looking at the same thing now.
like they're getting their guy. It sounds like people believe that Jabari Smith's the guy in Orlando. Obviously, this is an Orlando Magic draft chat, but very interesting because obviously at that point, then the Thunder would have their pick of Shaedon Sharpe, Paolo, or Chet, which it seems like that's probably going to happen. It's one of those 3. Wow. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Who do you want, and who do you think will happen at 12?
Well, I didn't expect to have a pick of the trio, honestly, given the misery of late with draft lotteries. But now that miracle has come true, I still would love Mark Williams, Jalen Duren, someone like that, just to lock down that area of the court. We've got a lot of athletes out in the wing. Guards, obviously, we've got that pretty well covered. I think we could focus on maybe a 3-and-D wing guy, someone in the middle like Tari Eason potentially. Although 12 may be a bit high for him, but I think if you're there with the pick and the guy's there, then take him. That was the mindset with Giddey last year. In light of how that worked out, I wouldn't mind that approach once again. All
right, Josh, same question I just asked him since we asked you before. Obviously, this is a Thunder show, but I do want to know, now that 13 is 100% happening, since you're the I got to wait till the lottery's over kind of guy, the lottery's over. The Charlotte Hornets, pick at 13, then who does Josh want?
I feel like there's a good chance that 13 could be the Agbaji pick. The Hornets are in win now. Well, it's not win now mode, but it's like it's time to be a competitive team mode. They've been in the play-in tournament the first 2 years. So that's probably an Agbaji pick, and then I think Mark Williams, if not taken before, could fall, and you could look at that at 15. But other options, you got Usman Dieng, got Malachi Branham from Ohio State hanging around there. Considering there aren't like a lot of great twos in Charlotte, could be a shout. It's that kind of area.
So you said that's who you think they'll do, but who do you said you wanted? You would want.
I want Chet Holmgren, but like that's
Okay,
not
that's
gonna.
Too bad.
Let the pipe dream go.
Like, I don't know what to tell you. It's hard to wait and see how it shakes out. Like,
that answer can change, obviously. That's why I'm asking now.
yeah, I mean, I'd like to see an Agbaji or a Dieng or a Benedict Mathurin.
Yeah, so we haven't
get a really good wing.
We haven't talked about Dieng in a little bit. We had talked about him with we had Tyler on, and then we had a different Tyler on. I think we talked about him with Tyler James, not Tyler Rucker, and he was still doing a couple of deep dives, and he was on that list. But I, from listening to Rucker's show, I know he's pretty high on him. I think he's somebody that's going to sneak into my end of big board maybe, but it's just a matter of I don't know. It's in that weird range for me. With he could be 13, he could also be like 31. I have no idea. So yeah, Charlotte's got a great position being there at 13 and 15. So it'll be really fun to see. Like you mentioned in the pre-lottery conversation about being part of a pieces of a trade. I'm not sure there's going to be a ton of trades on draft night. I'm sure this might turn into the NFL draft since I said that. The NFL draft this year had every trade possible, but I'm just not sure. I think a lot of teams are happy with where they ended up and are willing to take some guys a little bit higher or lower on their boards. I think it's going to be really interesting to see that.
Charlotte specifically has had no intention of continuing to trade picks.
Yeah, I mean, but if you're getting a
statement
big
from current
general
manager Mitch Kupchak.
If you're getting a big like Gobert on the market, maybe you do. Regardless of that, let's talk a little bit now. I obviously we asked like who you want reactionary wise. That answer is going to be a little bit different, maybe. But outside of the top four, and I'm going to say four because I think four can either be for me or for most listening, either Sharp or Ivy at the fourth spot. Let's assume it's both of them. Let's just say top five. Let's say it's those five. Is there somebody that you think gets shaken up here, or somebody you're really high on, Grayson, that we, not necessarily the Thunder since they got two, obviously they're not going to take one of these guys here, but is there somebody that may fall that you're excited about maybe falling that they could get there at 12 that's kind of like, you know what, this is not somebody I haven't been able to talk about much?
Right. I mean, I've seen a couple different opinions on Jalen Barron and, you know, how raw of a talent he is and how refined his game may be at this young age. And I could definitely see him being gone before 12. But if he is there at 12 for us, or even another like-minded team like Charlotte right after us, I think either spot he would do well. Mark Williams also, he's kind of mocked in that area already, though. Yeah, so I would, going back to the big man thing, I'd just either one of those guys, Walker Kessler later on maybe. That's that kind of player area I'd be looking at. Guys like Tari Eason as well, who will very likely be there at 12. Yeah, thinking big this year for OKC.
All right, let's do this because of where there's a couple of guys, obviously, with you never know what could happen. The Thunder have so many picks. They could trade 12. They could trade 30. They could trade 34, I think is what we had noted. I'm not going to get that wrong after last year. Rounder. If you know, you know. I'm not going to get the second rounders wrong or the first rounders wrong again for trivia. I'm going to throw a couple of names at you. We'll play high or low for a few minutes here since we've done that with every draft chat. Obviously, we want to do it again. I'm going to throw a couple names at you. Obviously, at this point, it matters nothing about where the team may picking. It's just a matter of whether you think the guy obviously is high or low. You've heard the segment before.
Yes,
first one for me is going to be AJ Griffin.
I think higher because that was a name I liked if, you know, the lottery balls didn't bounce our way and we were picking in that 7-8 range at the back end of the our own first round pick. I think that, you know, he doesn't shoot a ton volume wise, but we were the worst 3-point shooting team in the league last year. So any talent, regardless of volume in that area, I would love. I think he's got defensive potential as well. Yeah, like I said, the big thing, we need guys down low, but another aspect we can definitely look at, if not later on as well, is the 3-point shooting. It was bad. It's been bad for a while. But yeah, dead last in the league in it. So getting a guy maybe lower volume, but still efficient. Obviously, I don't think he'd be starting for us, but comes in off the bench and gives us key shots from that range. I would be a big fan of that. Thankfully, we're not looking in that range at least not at 2 now. If he were to somehow fall to 12, I'd love that pick, but I suspect he will be going in the single digits.
You never know, especially with this draft. I mean, there's gonna be. I think I have a couple. I may do like a small segment on Draft Chat in a few weeks with Josh and I, where we do like some potential guys that may fall for whatever reason we come up with. Because I think it'd be really interesting to see like where those guys do eventually end up based on our predictions. But I have a couple in mind that I'll keep under wraps.
Okay.
The next guy I'm curious about, Johnny Davis, because there's one. I think you and I texted about him a little bit, but I just want to understand where your brain is, high or low, on Johnny Davis. Obviously, a little further in the draft cycle than we've asked this question to other people, as we're only about a month away.
Right. I mean, I remember the mock drafts from tournament time. He was right there with Shaden Sharp and Keegan Murray, 5 and 6. I didn't really love what I saw in the tournament as far as like just head down, got to do it all, which works when you need it. But I don't think, at least not for OKC, that's not something we need a whole lot. Same thing with Ivy. He's great with the ball, but there's only one of them. So I think he's going to be great in the right situation. I don't know if Oklahoma City is that right situation, but I'm not sure where he's being consensus mock right now. Late lottery, I would assume, would be the target range for him. But I think that he's shown a lot of ability. It's just getting that right balance of his fit in an offense to where he's doing a lot, but not necessarily taking over. He's trying to win games by himself, because he maybe will do that later in his career, but I don't think early on he's going to find success with that.
Josh is going to have 3. This is my last one. Let's go with a guy I'm curious about because I think he's a good fit. I don't want to spoil some of my thoughts later on closer to the draft, but I'll say this. I think EJ Liddell is a great fit for the Thunder at any pick. Obviously, I think 12 might feel a little high, and then 2 might be a little high for EJ Liddell. But EJ Liddell, high or low?
I would say high. I've actually got him in my notes as someone we could look at him with the Clippers pick. Now, assuming he would stay at 12. I don't hate the pick. If there's a run on bigs, Mark Williams is gone, Jalen Duren is gone, and it's we're choosing between maybe him and Eason, and Presti feels like going Liddell, then I would be very okay with that. Just it's size and we need it. I thought he played well at Ohio State, and 12 maybe perceived as a reach, but Giddey was a reach at 6 until the season started. So I think if it's a guy we like and we have a pick and he's there and we don't think he's gonna be there at 30, I'd be shocked if he's there at 30.
Yeah, me too.
Then I think you pull the trigger. There's a couple of funny tweets. We got taken 5 picks early, and then the season starts, and in a similar fashion to Jeremiah Robinson Earl, who's a 2nd-round pick, but immediate returns and a lot of potential.
Yeah, our friends at No Ceilings have Liddell at 20 right now. I have a feeling that probably changes, especially after having some conversations with some of them, reading some of the stuff, some guys that we trust, obviously. They have him behind the likes of Tari Eason, Patrick Baldwin, Usman Jang, Ochai Agbaji, Jaden Hardy, Jeremy Sohan. So this is probably a more updated than I've even read it the other day. So he's obviously a name that I think is going to rise up and down in a few of those spots. I think I'm just sick of the Minnesota comparisons in that weird like 1923 range. But right. I mean, that's probably where he ends up. So, all right, Josh, 3 more.
Let's see. What do you think of Ty Washington?
I mean, I can't really talk bad about any Kentucky guards, given that we've got one leading the franchise. That would definitely be one down towards 12. But I think, I don't know. I'm just so almost tunnel vision towards these bigs because I know the talent we have at guard. I think obviously if we did take him, he'd do great. I just don't know if the role we need him to play is limiting him almost and what his actual potential is. Yeah. I think that, a team that doesn't have the depth of guard we have, especially they're all young too. That's the other thing is, SGA is the old man at 25, 26 years old. So
wild.
Assuming we don't flip him to the Hawks for whatever terrible trade their Twitter people have come up with this week. I definitely wouldn't hate it. I think that, if we do add a wing or a guard with one of these 3 first-round picks, assuming we use them, I know we'll use 2 and probably 12. I could see 30 and or 34 getting involved in some Presti magic on draft night. But really athletic. If there's enough of share of the ball to go around that we could figure it out. I mean, we had a 3-guard lineup in the bubble and made some noise with that. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind that pick at all.
Yeah, Tata's interesting for sure. Tata's interesting for sure because he's in that
Yeah.
weird range where he could actually still get in that late lottery. I think people will be shocked, but
Right.
I mean that's where he was for most of the draft cycle until about a month ago. So
Exactly.
Buckle up because we got a lot of guard questions incoming. So, Dyson
right.
Daniels.
I'm confused why you're doing guard, but hey, that's I'm
There
excited.
aren't good big men. That's why.
Yeah. I mean,
That's fair.
Dyson Daniels, we haven't really delved into the G League ranks yet. I think I've heard good things, about him in that situation. Pressie's got a lot of favoritism towards the international guys. So I think G League could be next. I think the only guy we really have is Darius Baisley, who was supposed to play, but actually sat out, was an intern for New Balance in that year off. So, and he's panned out spectacularly. So,
My question with Daniels, I've made this joke like 3 weeks running. I'm gonna make it again. Would you
no.
feel like you're seeing double with the Giddey Daniels comparison? Because Daniels is apparently 6'8" as of yesterday.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I
that would
just
be.
found that out. He supposedly has been secretly
Couple
growing.
of 6'8" Aussie point guards.
I mean, the
You would feel
first
like
one
you're
worked.
seeing
We might as well.
Yeah, right. Well, who needs one when you can have
That's
two?
that
Right?
Dante Exum drafting logic.
Yeah, right. Oh
All
man,
right.
that's a good
Hopefully,
one.
somewhere more closer to Giddy than Dante Exum. But yeah, I mean, it's
Or Ben Simmons if we're going big Australian guards. Let's just keep rolling. But
hopefully he'll play more. But yeah, no, I wouldn't. I heard him on I'm forgetting the name of that podcast. The one you sent me with that Tyler was on with the OKC guys. They mentioned him as a target at 12 potentially. And so yeah, it is a guard, but we're not going to draft 3 centers. So at some point, the wings and guards are going to have to be on the draft board, and I think that'd be a good one.
last one here is a late first, early second round look for Trevor. What do you think of Terquavion Smith?
I would say, I guess I'd have to be lower because I don't know if he goes in the first round. I think, a little bit of range, kind of like Ty Washington, and that he could definitely get there. I don't know. I mean, yeah, would I be shocked if he goes first round? No. If I had to tell you today, does he? I would probably say not. I would say, top 35. I could see him being there at 30 and not there at 34 between our 2 picks at the moment. But yeah,
Definitely
so just
makes
based
sense.
on, the split right now, does he get in that last 5 of the first 5 of the second, somewhere in there? I'd probably lean towards the back end of that range.
So my curious point, Josh, that was 3, right? That was 6 total.
Yeah,
I think so.
count.
Yeah.
So since you were talking about somebody, Josh threw out somebody towards the end of the first, early second, and that Terquavion Smith. With a realistic pick there, whether you high or low on Terquavion Smith doesn't matter in this case because he's probably not going to go there in that range. He'll probably fall, I think, a little bit. But regardless, you have a pick at 30 and you have a pick at 34. So 2 guys that you do, and this obviously we're out of high or low now. 2 guys that you are high on that you would be thrilled that are actually realistically available at 30 and actually could be picked there.
Right. This first guy would probably need to be at 30. But Christian Coloco out of Arizona.
I like that.
I think, if we do go the more athletic 3-and-D wing earlier in the draft, obviously bring a big man to start off at 2. But he improved a lot. He shot 72% from the free throw line, which is a stark improvement. I think that's big in today's NBA where you're going to get to the free throw line. You got to be able to make them. And I think this 3rd year at Arizona did him really well. They didn't reach their ceiling as a team in March, but I thought that he played well. Him and Mathurin both improved their stocks, I feel like. And so, as the picks flip to the second round, we've got those 2 in that very short amount of time, assuming we do keep them. And then staying on the big man theme, we could probably wait to 34 to get him, but Walker Kessler will be another guy that I think he could be taken before then, obviously, but I think, should he be one of those fallers that we see late first and he's there late second, I wouldn't mind taking a shot with him.
To get Kessler, just be prepared for 5 3-point attempts per game and half of a 3-point make every game.
That's about as I can expect from the team now, so I will take that.
I mean, he did just say earlier that I didn't know this. They were the worst 3-point shooting team in the league last year. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
So
no.
I think he would fit right in. I think that would be a great. We're talking team fit.
I mean,
we love
if
guys
you
that
asked
can't
me
shoot.
to name some of the players that definitely started for OKC at some point this season, I wouldn't be able to tell you.
There's about 20 right answers, so you could really just throw some darts.
Yep.
for those that are not new here, I'm going to start studying the 20 people that played, so Josh can't. So when the trivia finale rolls around,
The game now, Grayson.
I'll be clearly yeah. But so for those that are listening to this on Saturday who have already listened on Wednesday, we recorded our normal show without Grayson about an hour and a half before this one, and yeah, we're fixing to do conference semifinals as Celtics Heat just tipped off as we're talking about this, but we're going to talk about. You'll hear the trivia and how it went and stuff, but he has no idea what happened. So, and we're going to keep it that way because I think it's going to be funnier to find out as the guy who's going to probably be the one, definitely be the one making the trivia questions. This is your formal announcement to in front of everyone that you have about a month. Any other prospects in that range that are just somebody we definitely need to mention? I like the Coloco one because we haven't spent a deep dive on our show, at least draft chat wise, talking about some second rounders. I think we may set aside some time in the next couple episodes to really go deep dive the second. I mean, like Josh said, for God's sake, the last two MVPs, back to back MVP and Jokic came from the second round. So obviously you got to get somebody right in there. Anybody else?
It's been over 4 years since an MVP was a lottery pick.
Yeah, that's true.
Is it really?
Wow,
that's true.
Yeah, because Giannis was 15, right?
Yep.
So
yep.
All right, so anybody else in that range? Obviously, you have guys like Travion Smith, Leonard Miller, Trevor Keels, Wendell Moore, etc.
A guy I picked up on JT Note. He may very well slide out of the draft altogether, but I think if he does, he took a pretty big gamble. With NIL, he is risking an actual pay cut. We make jokes about that, but by declaring, he may end up in the G League out of the draft, which would very literally be a pay cut from the NIL money he'd receive at Arkansas. And I think that if a team does take a flyer on him, I could definitely see it panning out. I think he did a lot for the Arkansas team that scared a bunch of people. That was a hard place to come in and play. We saw a lot of the top SEC teams struggle. And that team as a whole, just very physical, hustled all over the floor, didn't let you have anything easy. And their tournament run as well, I think he was a good part of that. And another guy that improved his stock through the tournament. Again, maybe coming out a little bit early, but credit to him for betting on himself. I think he'll definitely be on a team, whether it's through the draft or post-draft with a deal. But he's a guy that I like a lot.
All right, Josh, anything else before we do really quick his Western and Eastern Conference Finals predictions?
Any chance the Thunder want to trade that pick to the Hornets?
Collision started now.
I mean, we'll get on the trade machine, but it's going to take a whole lot.
Spoiler, the Thunder asking for more picks, by the way.
Yeah.
Which the Hornets don't have.
We have them. We're just not going to give them up.
That's fair. All right.
Lakers don't have any.
Yeah, I thought we would go this whole podcast. I thought we said we were going this whole podcast.
Next one's in 2027, right?
Yeah.
Is it?
Can't wait to do that lottery show with no one. Really quick, we're recording this as it's 7-0 Boston, Miami. Boston's up 7-0. This will go out, obviously, since we're recording at Game 1 on Tuesday the 17th. This will go out on the 21st. So with that being said, as unbiasedly as possible, because no one knows you're going to be changing these picks, obviously, because it's the night of Game 1s. Who wins in the East and who wins in the West and why?
I think a little bit of late breaking news today. Al Horford out in the COVID protocols, excuse me. Likely both Miami games, he won't be there. As we see, early lead for Boston, that could very well change for these first two in Miami. I think Boston gets out of the series and goes to the NBA Finals. I had them coming out of the East before the playoffs. I had them playing Phoenix. We saw how that happened. But I think this Boston team can put it all together. We've seen them in this position before, and they've come up short against various other top teams in the East. And I think, guys like Grant Williams coming on, Robert Williams being healthy now, hopefully Marcus Smart joining the healthy part of the roster. He had a foot sprain, I believe. So hopefully that's not significant. And then, of course, Al Horford and COVID protocols, which that's about as dynamic a thing as you can get. So those are two key important pieces for them. I think if either of those two misses more than the first two games, maybe I could reconsider, but I've got Boston. I think in 6, I would say. I don't think we get a Game 7 out of the East.
It's scary because, people who logically just look at the numbers that say 1 and 2 next to their rankings right there are going to be like, man, a lot of people are picking the Celtics. And I mean, without spoiling anything, they're they should be the favorite. They're the better
Right.
team, arguably.
Right. Yeah.
All right. And the more fun Western Conference.
For some people. I'm not gonna let my bias get in the way. I don't think that the Luka and Brunson show is enough. I don't trust the role players to step up to the magnitude they did have to get past a 3-2 deficit to Phoenix. I think the Warriors are the most experienced team left by a mile or two. I think getting Steve Kerr back at some point, also in the COVID protocols, will be big. Home court, very, very important. These are two teams that play well at home. They've got great crowds. I just don't see Dallas winning more than maybe one game in Golden State. I'd be surprised. Now, if it's 1-1 heading back to Dallas, I'm not exactly shocked, but those later games would be 5 and 7 if needed. I think that I'd be very surprised if Dallas took either one of those. We just saw them win in Phoenix in a game 7 by 38 something points. So it could happen. Yeah. But, I'm a bit concerned about the Warriors. I, along with everybody else, did not see them losing by the same 30 million points that game in Memphis. Sans Ja Morant. But, that was also without Kerr, to give them a little bit of credit. And so, but yeah, I've got to give experience there. I think this Warriors team, and they've got the young influx of talent as well. And if it gets to a game 6, then you better double Klay Thompson. Trust me, from experience. But I think Dallas is going to fall. I don't know if we get a game 7 out of either series, honestly. As much as I want one as a fan, I've got too much respect for Boston Golden State to see it getting to that point.
All right. How many games for Golden State?
I'm going to say 6 again.
All right.
But I would lean 5, if not 6, and then 6, if not 7.
All right. Boston 6, Golden State 6.
Yes.
With that being said, like every guest, 30 seconds on the way out, shameless plug, anything that is pertinent, people need to hear, to find, etc.
Not a whole bunch. I'll be tweeting a bunch about the Thunder in the coming days. But, that's a very niche community. Even at picking number 2, a little bit more intrigue. But yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to come on. Looking forward to listening back to it and following along with you guys as we get closer and closer to the draft, about a month out.
Yeah, we haven't figured out what we're doing for the draft, but it's going to be something wild, hopefully. Some things stirring here, but Thursday night, I think they need to read. They've got to figure that out. They've got to shift it to a different day, maybe not a weekday. But anyway, all right, Josh, that was fun. Close us out.
Well, with that being said, not my night, but this has been 2 Pointers Podcast on Draft Chat. We will see you soon.